This is my WWE Still Sucks video after watching several streams of past weeks of Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. For this video, I still think the WWE sucks. I am, however, happy that Sting and the Dudley Boys are back, so that's something to look forward to. But I still think WWE sucks. I still think WWE is one of the worst. WWE today is one of the worst companies out there, and I'm still not watching WWE on a full time basis. I'm damn sure ain't watching, and I watched Raw, Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. I didn't watch that farce over SummerSlam. I didn't care how good that SummerSlam was. The fact that Brock Lesnar and Undertaker was a main event and that Stephen Arnell was wrestling on that pay per view and Jon Stewart was the host. Yeah, I will never, unless I decide to rant on it. I'm never watching that pay per view and never really watching a WWE pay per view again. I'll watch Night of Champions. I'll catch a replay of Night of Champions to see Sting and Rollins, but outside of Sting and the Dudley Boys, there's nothing to look forward to on WWE. I like a lot of the wrestlers, but the whole product is boring, bland, and uninspired. Take this past episode, this week of Raw. The let's see, Wednesday was the 26th. Tuesday was the 25th. Monday was the 24th edition of Monday Night Raw. That Raw, with the exception of Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns versus the Wyatt family, that whole Raw was terrible. There was like hardly any good matches. The show went on way too long. Like I said, 3 hour wrestling show is boring. They don't even have the product for a 3 hour wrestling show like a WCW did. And then of course, so bad I actually clicked out. I missed the big Sting return because the show was so damn boring up until that point. We had two segments featuring John Cena. One with him giving Jon Stewart an attitude adjustment for screwing him at SummerSlam, and another one with him and Rollins later. Like I said, then of course as usual we have Triple H and Stephanie still on TV in 2015. Like I said, just boring. And then NXT. NXT was so bad I don't even remember it, man. The roster. Okay, okay, I'm gonna tell you something, people. I've always thought NXT sucks, but at least back when it was a competition show, you had some good talent on there, so that gave us something to look for. And then the early days of the new form of NXT that exists now, at least you had people like Derek Bateman, jobbers and undercarders on the and mid carders on the main roster who were main stars on NXT. Guys like Chris Hero, Cassius Ono, Bram before he was fired, and I think his name is C.J. Parker, another guy who was really cool, but he got mad and left, something like that. Um, you at least had all this star power on indie star power on NXT. Now with all those wrestlers I just mentioned gone, and you got these you guys like the Voldular villains, Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin. I actually like Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson. Scott Dawson I really don't care much for, but I like Dash Wilder. I've been a fan of his since 2007 NWA Anarchy here in Georgia. Um. So yeah. So yeah, NXT is boring, and That's why they got Joe and Rhino instead of bringing those guys immediately to the main roster. They had the nerve to put them on this crappy wannabe indie developmental show just so they could push merch sales and push ratings for the show, because you know what, Lord knows you don't have any star power. And if what I've seen on NXT is the future of WWE, first off, when it comes to the futures of WWE and TNA, I like to look at what Sting said when WCW closed. That the only thing that's for sure is that nothing is for sure. The only thing is that nothing is for sure. I like to think how he thinks when it comes to where companies like WWE and TNA will be from now on, and who will step up and grab the brass rings in those company, who will step up and become major players. Well, there'll be no one grabbing a brass ring in WWE, but who will step up and become major players? So, but if this is the future right here, oh my God, WWE's future is bleak, and I'm glad I already stopped watching, man. I'm already glad I stopped watching, because, like I said, NXT is boring. The worst wrestling show on television. Next is Raw. Now let's get to the best show WWE has produced, SmackDown. Here's the problem I have with this show. It's just a boring, bland, blue show. There is no nothing must see about SmackDown. And from '99 till mid 2008, up until Triple H came to SmackDown, SmackDown was widely considered to be the superior show, and it was widely considered to be the better show. It was an awesome show. Now it is just boring and bland. Take this past episode of SmackDown, which is actually airing now. Nothing on SmackDown was worth watching, with the exception of um um the return of the Dudley Boys against the Ascension, and and oh yeah, Adrian Neville versus Kevin Owens. There were some other good matches. I think Ambrose wrestled Sheamus. Um Dolph Ziggler teamed up with Ryback to take on Rusev and the Big Show. Big Show. But apart from the Dudley Boys, I didn't care. Because I don't care about any angle with WWE. And speaking of not caring about any angle with WWE, Seth Rollins, man. Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is boring. I'm a huge fan of Tyler Black. You have Seth Rollins, who, when he first showed it, was one of my favorite things. Him, Ambrose, and Reigns were like the Dust Bowl trio. You had a company that had nothing but crap, and they were like the Dust Bowl trio, coming in, and making the product just a tad bit better. Now, um I still enjoy Reigns and Ambrose, even though, like I said, I just don't care, because I don't care about anything with WWE. Um, um, Seth Rollins is now go away heat. He's not a heel champ like EC3, who I want to see, who I tune in to see who he's wrestling next, and to see him get his butt kicked. No, it's go away heat. Get off my TV, and I turn off the TV now. He used to be one of my favorite things. His title reign is boring. His gimmick and attire sucks. I want Triple H far away from young talent as possible. All WWE, like I said, all WWE does is ruin and bury these guys. Um, you got the New Day. You got, first off, I'm gonna congratulate the New Day and the Primetime Players for getting over with their garbage gimmicks. The Primetime Players, I like them better as heel, and I wanted Darren Young and Titus O'Neil on their own, on their own, um, on their own. And then of course you got the New Day. Like I said, I gotta congratulate um the New Day members for getting over with this garbage gimmick. But like I said, this gimmick is garbage, and they deserve better than that. So I will not. Well, I'm forced to watch it now, because looks like the Dudley Boys will be feuding with them. So, but like I said, this is one of the reasons I already don't watch the product. I'm forced to watch because the Dudley Boys will be feuding with them. So, Yeah, but I hate that gimmick. I hate that gimmick in FWE for giving these three guys that gimmick. Like I said, stripping each of them of their original gimmicks. Kofi Kingston's Jamaican gimmick wasn't the best, but it was way better than this garbage. Then of course um stripping um Xavier Woods Consequences Creed of his gimmick and stripping Big E for his gimmick. Yeah, FWE for that. Yeah, I'll never forgive WWE for that. And yeah, garbage. Then of course you got tight. Then of course so Bray Wyatt is boring. Bray Wyatt is, I've always found him boring, but he's even more boring. He's even more boring, and I really more don't care about him. Ryback, Ryback, I just don't care about. He's much better now. I can actually watch him. A couple of years ago, it was get the hell off my TV. Dolph Ziggler, huge Dolph Ziggler fan, but I do not care about this storyline he's in with Rusev. Um, so like I said, nothing good about WWE. I don't like anything about WWE except the wrestlers. That is the only thing I like about WWE is the roster. Since they have the money, they have they have the money to go out and sign these talented wrestlers, man. Other problems I have with WWE is like I said, production values. Raw, Raw. Not only is the attendance down, if you go back and watch old episodes of Raw, especially during the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression eras in the '80s, not only is attendance down, um, um, the Titantrons, the ring design, the set designs, garbage. Just like a bland Hollywood show. It's not creative like it was back in the previous eras of WWE. It's like an over WWE today is an overproduced indie show. Indie show. Um, the AAA promotion in Mexico. I was watching Triple Mania. Wasn't the best pay per view. Wasn't the best pay per view produced by the AAA promotion, but when it came to set design and production issues, apart from the technical issues, that was audio issues from Matt Striker, and I keep forgetting who the other announcer was. Um, the set design was good. It was even better than WrestleMania. It was even better than WrestleMania. It felt like a big epic wrestling show, something WWE doesn't feel. They don't have this feeling of seeing a really badass, awesome, epic, exciting, larger than life wrestling show. That's what WWE aspires to be, but they're not. They're just a bland, overproduced indie show these days. We tune into WWE to see the big camera, lights, everything, and you don't get much of that. You don't get much of that. SmackDown, like I said, it's just a bland blue show. NXT is the worst show of all time. Who the hell wants to watch a developmental television promotion on television? FCW and OVW were on television, but they weren't nationally televised, and they were good. They were actually better than the main product, than the main roster. OVW and FCW. NXT is boring, always has been, but at least back then it was watchable because of the talent involved. Now it's even worse, which is why they put Joe and Rhino on this godforsaken show. Um, um, so yeah, also another thing I like about NXT, I don't like this Japan, I don't like this New Japan deal. New NXT, they ain't on New Japan's level. I don't want any talent unless they leave New Japan and decide to sign with WWE like Finn Balor did. I don't want any NXT. I don't want any New Japan wrestlers in NXT. At that crappy NXT Brooklyn show, They had Jushin Thunder Liger wrestling. Man, yeah, f that, man. F that, man. What's his name? What's his name? Joe. Not only this be another problem I have. Not only did they make Joe. Not only did they. Not only when Joe signed this. Not only did they put Joe on NXT, but they made him give up all his indie dates. So now I have to exclusively watch NXT just to see Samoa Joe. I can't see him tear it up in Ring of Honor. I can't see him go to Japan and tear it up, which is what I really want. Which is where I really wish Joe would have went. I think he's done everything he's needed to do in TNA, and I'm still, as much as I love Joe in TNA, I'm still, like I said, I'm still mad. I still think it's a joke that Joe never became the box office wrestler, box office draw, and household name he should have been. He should have been. So, so, um, yeah, guys like Joe and Rhino, not only they cancel their indie dates, cancel their, not only they force them to wrestle on this NXT program, they cancel their indie dates. Um, and I'm gonna be burying the roster. I'm gonna be burying the roster in another video. But this was this has been my rant on WWE. I'm not even gonna get into Tough Enough. No wait, I will get into that. Um, Tough Enough main event. Superstars. Both superstars and main event are at least better than NXT. But main event sucks in comparison to the one from the 80s and 90s, and the superstars sucks compared to the superstars, the WWE superstars from the mid 90s, mid 90s. It's just boring, bland, not even B shows, C and D shows, man, C and D shows, and then of course you got Tough Enough, which has always sucked, but at least back then, it at least gave us Maven, Maven and John Morrison were only good things that never really come out of Tough Enough, man. Never, and also enjoyed the Matt Capatelli guy, but he never made it to television because of concussions, man. So yeah, Tough Enough sucks. Tough Enough sucks. Didn't that make it even worse now? What was worse than Tough Enough? The Diva Search. The Diva Search. This was actually worse than Tough Enough. This was actually worse than Tough Enough. I read a rumor several weeks ago that WWE is looking to, since Tough Enough is not getting the ratings it should, they're looking to reformat it into the Diva Search. And speaking of divas, oh yes, and let me bury this. Let me bury the diva. I don't care how important they try to make the divas. The diva division sucks. I don't care how good the wrestlers are. The fact that you buried Natalia, that you buried Natalia all these years, and especially in 2012 with that farting um gimmick, made me hate and despise women's wrestling, along with what TNA was doing with their knockouts division, WWE constantly burying Natalia, the best female wrestler there, and in my opinion, probably right now in the business, one of the best female wrestlers of all time when it comes to technicality. The fact that you keep burying her for these models, these women who are only good for eye candy, can't cut a promo, can't wrestle, can't do anything. I don't care how many good indie wrestlers you get from the independent, good female wrestlers you get from the independent circuit. The fact that you kept burying Natalia and using her as a jobber, they gave her that atrocious farting gimmick back in 2012, makes me absolutely despise this company and despise women wrestling. So I wish fans would stop defending and say, "Oh, divas and women matter." So the burial of divas, man. That was the burial of divas, and I hate the Bella twins, man. I hate both of them. Nikki and Brie Bella, I hate both of them, man. Hate both of them, man. And the other diva segments I just don't give two craps about. I don't give two craps about Paige. Um commentary sucks. When I go back to the good days when Jerry King Lawler was a heel and funny, the days when Michael Cole, when I actually enjoyed him, when you didn't have to put up with him on every show, when he was just featured, usually when JR, Jerry King Lawler were missing, or on the B shows, or was just a backstage announcer. And JBL back in 2006, he was good. Now all three of them annoy me. They don't talk about the match. They get the history and dates wrong. There is sometimes filled with revolutionism history, like at WrestleMania 31 this year, when he buried the crap out of Sting in his on commentary in his match, and and um so yeah, um f f f so yeah, f WWE for that, and yeah, so what else? What else? What else? What else? Like I said, they finally did something good by bringing the Dudley Boys back. That was the thing I was gonna bash, not bringing the Dudley Boys back. There was an interview where the WWE appeared to have turned down the Dudley Boys, but I'm finally glad they brought the Dudley Boys back. And speaking of turning wrestlers down, um, wrestlers like Ken Shamrock can't come back. Wrestlers like Ken Shamrock come back, and really confused about Goldberg. Whether is he, I can't. I'm confused on whether WWE doesn't want to bring him back, or Goldberg doesn't want to come back. But if if whichever one is true, F Triple H for not allowing Goldberg to come back, and F Triple H, FWE and Triple H for putting celebrities in the Hall of Fame, but people like Goldberg can't be in the Hall of Fame. Oh yes, Hall of Fame, garbage, garbage. Have celebrities like Pete Rose, Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson, Drew Carey, and the very worst of all, Donald Trump in the Hall of Fame. But guys like Macho Man and his brother couldn't get in the Hall of Fame when they were alive. When they were alive, I don't even recognize WWE's Hall of Fame. It's just hype to sell WrestleMania, more hype to sell WrestleMania. They don't even have a real hall with pictures like a actual Hall of Fame. Just more hype to sell WrestleMania. I only recognize the Pittsburgh Hall of Fame, which Bruno Sammartino and Kurt Angle and various amateur wrestlers are part of, and the Hall of Fame, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and the official Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Canada, which Chris Benoit, despite his actions, is still a part of, and of course now recently the TNA Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame. I don't recognize WWE's Hall of Fame as anything. Um, so yeah, and with a roster, WWE with a roster, um, with all the money in the world in the roster, can't seem to put out a decent, good, can't seem to put out an awesome, entertaining product. I should not settle for decent with WWE. I should not settle for. I will not accept poor production values. No real star power. No real star power from a. Yeah, there's no star power outside of Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, Dudley Boys, and these are wrestlers from previous eras. The two closest stars, the two closest things to larger than life mainstream stars you had were CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, and CM Punk and Daniel Bryan are piss poor in comparison to the previous eras. Even Chris Brown dissed CM Punk, saying a couple of years ago on Twitter, saying, "I want to see the real stars: Hogan, Bret Hart, Snuka, um, Austin, and The Rock. I don't want to see Brock Lesnar. I don't want to see the punks. I don't want to see the punks." That's what Chris Brown said to CM Punk years ago when he dissed him, because CM Punk, while he's the biggest star in this period, he's a C and D list celebrity at best. He's a C, which is what all the wrestlers are. He's a C and D list celebrity at best. Nobody cares about nobody. A lot of people don't care. A lot of people don't know or care about CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. They're not mainstream stars like Hogan, Macho Man, Flair, um, Even Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. I bet a lot of people remember Bret Hart. He was on The Simpsons. Um, um, The Rock, Austin, Brock Lesnar. So yeah, no real mainstream stars, and there is no excuse for that garbage ratings. And tell you the truth, I would not mind the ratings so much. I would not mind the ratings so much if it wasn't for the reputation of a WWE, and if it wasn't for WWE constantly in videos taking shots at companies like WCW. First of all, they bashed WCW from 95 to 98 when they were kicking their butts. From 95 to 98, when they were kicking their butts, when they were kicking when WCW was kicking their butts and were giving higher ratings, they try to bash and make all that look inferior. Make all that look inferior in DVDs. They have that show with Road Dogg and Road Dogg Jesse James and Josh Matthews before he left called Are You Serious, where they looked at moments from WWE too, from the New Generation era, but they mostly buried wrestlers. They mostly buried WCW, and hell, they even buried Hulk Hogan. The WWE's version of Hulk Hogan, because he was in TNA when it was Hulk Hogan who made the WWE. It was Hulk Hogan who made the WWE, who put butts in the seats back in the 80s and mid 90s. Guys like him, Macho Man, and Warrior. You just do Hogan like that. So yeah, Are You Serious stuff and the crappy Rise and Fall of WCW. That was one of the worst DVDs. I saw it here on YouTube. That was one of the worst DVDs I ever watched. Just inaccurate. The footage didn't match what the wrestlers were talking about. You had guys like Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio. You have guys like Chris Jericho. You had guys like Chris Jericho and Big Show talking about the last years of WCW when both of these guys left in '99. So how would they know what the last years of WCW were really like? Were really like backstage? Only people's opinions who were relevant were Goldberg's, Gregory Helms, and Mysterio, who were still with the company. You have a WCW DVD. You don't talk about Sting. You don't talk about Booker T. You don't talk about Booker T. You only briefly mention Guerrero and the Cruiserweights. Garbage. More Revolutionist History. The day, what was it? Black Saturday. The day where, oh yeah, the people from GCW, they were expecting to see um Bart Sawyer, Bart Sawyer, Buzz Sawyer, not Bart Sawyer, Buzz Sawyer, wrestlers like Buzz Sawyer, Dusty Rhodes, Wildfire, Tommy Rich on the GCW show, and the wrestlers they were accustomed to seeing. But then you have Vince show up with his cartoonish BS. When that's when he acquired GCW's time slot in the day, I think it was Black Saturday, Black Sunday, something like that. And Vince says, I don't understand the politics that went on. There wasn't no politics. Nobody wanted to see the people, the wrestling fans down here in the South didn't want to see your garbage product. Your garbage cartoonish product. So, yeah, crap. And so, since they take shots, so they bashed WCW from 95 to 98, the mid 98, when they were kicking their butts and getting higher ratings. Then from late 99 till 2001, when WCW was getting the same ratings that WWE gets now, with WWE with no competition from another wrestling company. WCW was facing heavy competition from WWE's Attitude Era. No, they still take shots at them. So since they want to do that, I'm not watching this company until they get a rating above a 4. I will continuously mock that. Then you got in Europe, man. I don't care what the circumstances were. There is no reason a company like TNA is better product, but WWE has more money and can afford to get all these stars, and WWE is more known worldwide. There's no reason why TNA should have. I don't care what the circumstances were, whether WWE. I don't care what channels they're on. TNA should not have better ratings than WWE in Europe. I don't care what the circumstances are. So I'm gonna mock that too. I'm gonna be an asshole and mock that too. Oh yes, once again, if you're a fan of WWE, click out of this video and don't ever come to this channel. Don't ever come to this channel. If you want WWE praise, go somewhere else because you're not getting it here. Because you're not getting it here. This channel is total WWE hate mode, man. So can't get above a 3-point rating, can't get a 4, and I don't care what the circumstances are, more channels and stuff. If you like wrestling, you're gonna watch wrestling. Nobody cares about wrestling. Nobody cares about WWE today, which is why guys like Brock Lesnar and The Rock have main event pay-per-views. Have main evented pay-per-views. Vince McMahon off the rope show said it himself. Vince is not trying to create new stars. He's trying to put over the initials to WWE. He's trying to put over the initials to WWE. That's why Cena has been booked at the top for several years. That's why they buried and destroyed CM Punk during the Summer of Punk storyline. You had Summer of Punk, the hottest storyline going, and the best thing to happen in WWE for a long time, and you freaking destroyed him. You freaking destroyed him by having him win the belt, only to come back. I think how long? A month or a week later, instead of having him leave for a while and letting this build, then of course you have and this is WWE actually got mainstream attention. WWE actually got mainstream attention for this. WWE, the only time they can get mainstream attention is for something negative, and negative like Hulk Hogan's racist comments, or when somebody dies. That's the only time they can get WWE can get attention. It's always negative. But this was one of the times they got positive attention and the right buzz. CM Punk leaves CM Punk leaves he comes back a days later, only for Kevin Nash to interfere in the main event of SummerSlam, which allows ADR to cash in and win the heavyweight championship. Then he jobs to R-Truth and the Miz. He jobs to R-Truth and the Miz. Then finally, after all this damage, he finally wins the belt back. He finally gets the belt at Armageddon 2000. I mean, not Armageddon, but TLC 2012. Then you bury him by putting him in the mid card and made him in the title in Reveling and putting Cena in the main event. You also ruined him by turning this CM Punk, this edgy anti-hero tweener, badass tweener, into another cookie cutter babyface, and he did that on purpose to ruin him. I actually liked him when he went heel because I didn't like that cookie cutter babyface. I didn't like that cookie cutter babyface gimmick, but the heel stuff, this was crap too. You turn when CM Punk was another thing, he surpassed Cena. So all you people talk about, oh, Cena's the top merch seller. He's a top merch seller because WWE makes him, constantly books him in that spot and makes him a top merch seller. I even heard someone tell me that when they went there was nothing but Cena merchandise. And speaking of Cena merchandise, they give people like Cena and Roman Reigns the best merchandise. I think these two are the top merch sellers. Cena and Roman Reigns. They give them all the good merchandise, and they give everyone else crappy merchandise. Look at CM Punk's merchandise. He had a shirt with a guy holding a bolt of thunder on it. What was that in? People actually bought that. Daniel Bryan had a shirt which says yes and the goat face crap. Yeah, they bury wrestlers with gimmicks like that, like goat face, Wendy's for Heath Slater. They do that so you won't buy their merchandise, or you won't really pay to see them. So they bury them with nicknames and gimmicks like that. That's the only reason Cena, they give him all the merch. They give him the most chances to draw. While holding everyone else down because they don't want no star to become bigger than the WWE like Austin The Rock did. And Hogan did too. You see what happens when you push someone to unseen levels, Hogan, Rock, Austin, Brock, and you see what happens. See what they do? They leave. So, that's also why Triple H, despite not being that big of a draw, that's why he's been booked here. Triple H, to this day, he still does this. Whatever the hottest act is, he attaches himself to it. This guy was always really just a mid-carder. I thought he was cool back in the day, but he was always been just a mid-carder who politicked and attached himself to whoever the hottest act was. whoever the hottest was. Daniel Bryan. First off, they had him win in a terrible way with that they first had him winning in a terrible way with him cashing in on Big Show, but at least he got the title at Armageddon 2012. Then of course they turned him heel. They put him in this crappy storyline with AJ. Then they buried him at WrestleMania, the 18 seconds at WrestleMania, which actually made him more over. They buried him at WrestleMania 28 with the 18 seconds crap. They buried him at WrestleMania with the 18 seconds crap. And then of course you got then of course what else? Yes, then of course after the whole Team Hell No storyline where he got over again, finally at the Royal Rumble 2014, from 2014 you have him eliminated. You have him. I don't think he was eliminated. I don't think he was in the Royal Rumble 2014, and everybody surprisingly here cheered Roman Reigns and booed the returning Batista. And then Daniel Bryan finally wins the title at WrestleMania. He finally wins the title WrestleMania 30. Only has to forfeit it due to injury. Here's the forfeit due to injury. Which ruins the potential feud between him and Brock Lesnar, where Brock Lesnar would have destroyed him in a realistic storyline for the belt. All because another problem I have is the road schedule, constantly forcing wrestlers to travel. Even there was I didn't click on the article, but there was one top star on Lords of Pain, a WWE spoiler website, saying requesting a smaller schedule. So for all you people who say that WWE doesn't force people to travel, shut up. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They still force people to travel. They still force people to travel, despite all the problems that it's caused. So because of the road schedule, people are constantly getting injured. And like I said, WWE has more dead wrestlers than any other promotion I've seen, man. Than any independent promotion, than any other full contact fighting sport that I've ever seen. Yet this is supposed to be fake. No, it's because of the road schedule. But I'll talk more about the crappy road schedule in another video. So yes, but like I said, just burying Daniel Bryan. They come to Royal Rumble 2015. This right here, this later turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because once again, another problem, they brought him back too soon at the Royal Rumble 2015. They decide, first off, instead of having Daniel Bryan win the Royal Rumble, they try to bury him. They try to correct last year's mistake by getting rid of him early and having a Final Four which consisted of the Big Show and Kane. And the only reason Daniel Bryan and CM Punk and Rollins now they don't even have belts is because of Eddie Guerrero and Benoit. They're trying to look good to make it seem like, oh yes, you don't have to be a big guy to be you don't have to be on roids, be a roided up freak to be what's his name. Yet John Cena looks like he's about to find his way back into the main event, especially now that he's lost the United States title. Another reason, yes, bringing Cena back to the main event. I knew it. I knew it was going to be a matter of time before they bring this guy back. You got a guy nobody likes who only appeals to kids and women as the face of your company in the main event. Even Off the Rope show said some crap about this, about guys like Crash Holly, Hurricane being top merch sellers, but were they top guys? No. Was Doink the Clown, who was really popular with kids, was he a top? Did that make him a top guy? No. Cena, the opening match, the mid card is where this guy belonged. I knew they were gonna bring him back to the what's his name. This is guy they wanted to top. He's not even that big of a draw. They constantly have to protect him. And keep holding guys down to make it seem like he's an all-time great when he isn't. He isn't that, despite how popular he isn't that much of a household name. Most people out there would not be able to tell you who Cena was, according to what some people said. He's not an all-time great. They even have the nerve to insult your intelligence, to pretend that Cena is up there with Hogan, Macho Man, Rock, Austin, Brock, The Rock. They have the nerve to insult your intelligence with that garbage, and he ain't even according to Off the Rope show, much to my surprise, he ain't even, when it comes to drawing, he ain't even Ric Flair, he ain't even Dusty Rhodes, and he ain't even Bret Hart's level. Bret Hart didn't do much here, but he was a great international draw. He was a much bigger star than Cena. I always thought Cena would be a top merch seller, a better merch seller than guys like HBK and Bret Hart and Flair. Not better wrestlers or workers, but a better merch seller. He's not even a better merch seller than them. Then you got legendary Bruno Sammartino. He's not even his level. Garbage. Cena is garbage, man. I used to defend this guy, but no more. Especially after I heard about what he did to Alex Riley and Ken Doane. F Cena. I will never watch or cheer that guy as a babyface, man. Refuse to turn him heel. Refuse to turn him heel. Turn him heel and make Daniel Bryan Randy Orton. Randy Orton is overrated, but when it comes to comparing him to Cena and Triple H, he's underrated. He never truly got the chance to carry the WWE on his shoulder as a top babyface like they did. Like they did. So instead of making Randy Orton your top face, Randy Orton, guys like Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, your top face, and make Cena the heel, make Cena the heel, make Cena make Cena make Cena the heel. No, Cena is the top face, and whenever they do this, Orton was the one to turn heel. When the authority storyline came, when the authority storyline came with Triple H and Stephanie, when they turned on Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam 2013, Randy Orton should have turned Randy Orton turned heel instead of having Cena turn heel. And WWE just waters people down to the point you don't care or just want to see them, man. Like I said, man, just a garbage product, man. So much wrong with WWE. I've talked for like 42 minutes now. The WWE just sucks. F the WWE, man. Dug out.